Hi everyone, it's Olga Zarr from SEO Sly. This is SEO podcast by SEO Sly. Today I have a very special guest. This is Patrick Rice. Patrick, how are you doing today? SEO Sly, SEO done right. I'm Olga Zarr, an SEO consultant in SEO since 2012. Don't forget to subscribe to learn SEO for free with me. Now let's get into the show.
Hey everyone, I'm doing great. Thank you, Olga. I really appreciate you having me on. I'm excited for this podcast. It should be a good one. So thanks for
Yeah,
having me.
yeah. Thanks for being my guest. I'm pretty sure it will be a good one. I heard a lot about you and your extensive experience in e-commerce SEO, in creating topical maps and all of that. So I hope to pick your brains on that topic as well. But before we dive into details, can you briefly introduce yourself in case someone doesn't know you?
Yeah, I would love to. Essentially, I'm an e-commerce SEO. We have a team of actually 10 now. So we're starting to grow.
Oh,
And we're an e-commerce SEO agency, work with a lot of Shopify and big commerce sites. And yeah, our specialty is these large websites, sometimes 40 to 100,000 URLs, where you just have massive topical maps, massive technical problems, and sort of technical refinement to happen. Yeah, that's where sort of my bread and butter lies now. And I love the whole art and science of it all. So I've been an SEO nerd for quite a while here, about 7 years,
uh-huh.
and yeah, still going strong, still learning every day. I'm sure there's a ton I'll even learn in this podcast. So,
I don't know why. I thought that you are a solo SEO consultant. You now have a team of 10. So, how long has it been?
so it's been pretty recent, actually.
Uh
Really, in
huh.
the last 12 months. So I've always
Oh,
been more of an SEO consultant throughout my career, and then we just sort of slowly built out the team, and it's been really fun. So it sort of happened naturally, grassroots. Like, I met my lead strategist who helps me with the overall strategy. I met him at SEO Spring Training,
uh
which
huh.
is Terry Samuel's event, and I met him in Arizona. And then we met, and I was like, "So where are you from?" Right? We had a great SEO conversation, and he said Georgia, which is actually where I'm from. And even more so than that, he said the specific county I'm from. We're like
Oh,
practically neighbors. And so now, like today, we'll go and get coffee. We'll do this large SEO audit that we're working on.
yeah.
So yeah, it was just kind of a ragtag team of SEOs and developers and people like that sort of just
Uh
slowly
huh.
came together. So mostly just in the last 12 months. Before that, I had a couple employees that sort of helped me with high level or low level kind of work. Just going through and creating some pages and doing sort of standard SOPs. But now we have a proper team together. So
Yeah.
it's fun. I did enjoy
Nice. Yeah, it's a fast growth. Yeah, perfect. And talking about your very beginning, so you said 7 years. So, what kind of brought you into SEO?
Yeah, so I'm quite young, and I got picked up in high
How old
school.
are you?
I'm 25.
Oh, so
Yeah,
you are
so
young.
I am quite young, and so I got picked up in high school, um, and I was, a friend's dad had an SEO agency here in Atlanta, and that was Craig Lawson of Click Ready Marketing.
Uh
And
huh.
so, I was telling him about what I was doing with YouTube. Like, I got 5,000 subscribers for a Minecraft YouTube channel, which is just insanely nerdy. But I got like 5,000 subscribers. I had a video with 1 million views, and I started
Oh,
go on, SEO forums to sort of learn how to even optimized for YouTube back then, and just kind of figure out keywords and that kind of thing. And I was telling him about this, and he was like, "Well, why don't you, like come into the agency and I'll share you a few things." So, the rest is history. I stayed at the agency for surprisingly only about like a year and some change, and
oh,
so we learned SEO there, keyword research, worked on a lot of local sites. Worked on one big e-commerce site, and then from there I kind of went freelance. And he was totally supporting on that, and he was kind of the reason I'm here because he helped me sort of go out on my own. He's referred me clients, and so Craig's a great guy and really has contributed to my growth as an SEO.
Yeah, that's kind of unheard of to go freelance after 1 year, really.
Yeah, yeah,
So
it's
at
crazy. I mean,
19, right?
yeah, yeah. So it might have been like 15 months, something like that.
Uh-huh.
I'd have to
Even
go in the
so.
emails. But yeah, no, I went freelance pretty much 1 year into my career, which is insanity. I mean, it had its ups and downs. I probably should not have done that in retrospect, but it taught me quicker than I think if I stayed in an agency, just um, in terms of all the sort of fires that I had to learn how to deal with.
And during that time until now, can you share like the biggest challenges you had, the biggest mistakes you made before you kind of created your own company and had a
Yeah.
team?
Yeah, so the biggest, mistake that I made or failure early in my career was I got off, I became independent, started doing freelance SEO, and I got referred by Craig Lawson, a large client. And this was a large e-commerce client. So this is when I
Mhm.
started really delving deep into e-com SEO. And I was having a ton of fun. I was figuring it out, and that was great. And then some external company did a migration. And
Uh-huh.
as you know,
And
I was not prepared at the time. Like I've only been in SEO for like 2 years, and I was traveling at the time, and the other company was like, "Yeah, we have it," but I was the real SEO, so big sort of dropped the ball on that. We lost like 20% of organic traffic from the migration. So
not
everything.
that bad. Like 20 is not that bad for a failed migration.
Not too bad, but the website was like at like I think like 130,000 monthly traffic.
Okay, yeah, so that may,
So
yeah.
it becomes like actual money, right? So
Mhm.
big e-com store, so they lost a decent amount of revenue, and we got it all back eventually. So we put in the steps to recoup, but of course at the same time, like I lost the job, and they were not
Oh,
very happy. And I wanted to do everything I could, and I did that with a mentor of mine, Emery Rowland, and so
uh-huh.
he helped actually, make sure that all the sort of technical stuff was figured out. So I think that was the biggest learning experience where I was like, okay, technical SEO really matters with these types of sites. Like you can't just do on page and content all the time.
Mhm.
Like if you mess up something on the migration, you're definitely going to
Yeah.
have some pain there.
So I guess in this case, it wasn't that they like removed something, changed content. It was like a technical thing, right? Something didn't work the way it should, like redirect, or what was it?
Yeah, it was mostly just the basics. So URL mapping wasn't done correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So the redirects were going to some wrong pages. The
Okay.
new URLs had weird characters in the URL. So they went from like optimized URLs to like some URL with like, like a dollar sign in it or something.
Oh, okay.
So like those pages totally dropped. And we essentially just fixed the URL mapping, and that pretty much solved things. But yeah, it was mainly
Uh-huh.
just I think that's the case with migrations on the most part is either not pushing over the content or just getting the URL mapping and redirects wrong.
Or I also saw a lot of migrations where redirects weren't even done. I've seen such cases. Okay, so this brings us to e-commerce SEO. So let me like learn a little bit from you about that topic. I like this topic as well. So how does e-commerce SEO differ from, we can say, normal SEO?
Yeah, it's a great question, because from a new perspective, you might not understand how different the two actually are. I don't know for sure on the technical documentation, but I even know people that claim that Google has, a separate and very different algorithm for e-commerce.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, I heard it. Yeah.
yeah. And so you have a lot of different things that you won't have on if you're doing local SEO, definitely not. But even with stuff like SaaS and enterprise SEO that aren't e-commerce, you'll see a lot of different stuff. The basics are just if you search a keyword like red hat for sale, you will see a lot of product pages and product collection pages. And
Yeah.
so you're dealing with a lot of transactional intents where if I search for a red hat, I just want a list of products. I don't want, an article on what is a red hat, right?
The
Like,
history of red hats.
yeah, the history of red hats. So like in e-commerce, you're really dealing with transactional intent. And so that changes the game quite a bit. And sometimes you will see all kinds of weird stuff. So you will occasionally see a red hat guide for a transactional term, and you're like, "Wow, how did this get in here?" And that's sort of the starting place, is that you're working with transactional intent. These pages oftentimes don't have a ton of on-page content. We usually add more than what our normally clients will come to us with pretty much just a list of products on their
Yeah.
category page. We do see Google liking a sort of hybrid approach where you do have informational content, um, but it is a balance there. So, fundamentally, you're working with a different search intent and potentially a whole different algorithm on Google's side. You definitely need user experience there. You have a lot of brands with huge backlinks and authority already established. So, it's a different playing field. In terms of the execution of the SEO, I would say the biggest difference, if you have never done sort of e-com SEO, is just the size of the websites for the most part.
Yeah.
And this makes a much bigger focus on technical SEO, on you could almost say programmatic SEO, but essentially, if you're working
Uh-huh.
with a site with 50,000 products and 2,000 collection pages, making sure that the heading structure on those products is correct and making sure that the internal linking is correct is really important, and it's the quickest wins. You'll often find just websites with huge websites where you can change one line of code and you'll change it so that the product name is an H1 rather than like an H6 or whatever their developer
Yeah.
decided. And that's instant on page boost for 60,000 pages. So those sorts of technical, developmental, or programmatic sort of SEO, where you're just applying it to tons of pages, that becomes really important. So making sure that images have automated alt text with the product name for each image,
Yeah,
that
totally.
internal links from category pages actually link to the products with anchor text. There's all kinds of little things where the development side and the technical SEO becomes even more important. Same with page indexing. You can get really nerdy with this stuff. But yeah, I think those are the biggest differences. Is you're working with large sites, you have a totally sort of different algorithm, and search intent is different. So you gotta kind of play a different playing a different game in terms of the SERPs.
Totally. So talking about search intent, I have a bunch of e-commerce clients, even though this isn't like my specialty. But one thing I have been coming across over and over again is that there is like this keyword, which is either plural or singular, doesn't matter. And in search results, we see some product pages, some collection pages, and when the client kind of wants to enter that keyword, what do we do? Do we create a collection page, a product page, or both? Or very often recently, Google has been like changing what it ranks. It used to rank, for example, a product. Now it ranks a collection page of that client, or a different kind of a mix. How do you approach that? Have you seen those? You probably have seen those situations. Like, what's your take on that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's something that, we're still experimenting with. Our basic process is just looking at, what is the most common result. So like if the top
Uh-huh.
3 results are all collections, we'll do a collection. If 5 out of the 10 pages on the first page are collections or products, we'll kind of go that direction. We'll typically keep to one page. Um, I know that it's possible to rank both a product and a collection page, but that complicates our process to
Uh-huh.
a pretty big degree. So we usually keep to one page. And the hardest ones with that sort of search intent problem is the ones where it's really ambiguous. Like maybe the first result is a product, second result is a collection, and it just kind
Yeah,
of like it's like five, it's like
exactly.
completely mixed. And at that point, you mostly, kind of have to use your best judgment in terms of
Mm-hmm.
what you think would work for both the client and the search results.
Mm-hmm. And what about Google Merchant Feed? Like, do you have any like insights, any tips? Like one thing I have had problems with is I have one client, they are e-commerce, but they do not sell products. So as an experiment, I submitted feed and the client got a nice boost. But of course, after a few weeks, a few months, they got kind of removed from merchant feed because they do not sell products. And what are your kind of experiences with that?
Yeah, so that's a great point because the merchant feed and the product feed is so important in e-commerce. We've uploaded someone with 50,000 products. We just uploaded to Google Merchant Center, didn't do anything else because they've never done that, and instantly went to 150 clicks per day
Yeah.
from the free listings. So if you're on Google Merchant Center, you're really missing out as a retailer. And the way we've dealt with that, normally there's kind of there's a lot of specific instances with the product feed. So, like
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned, we've seen people that we've tried uploading product feeds to a client that only does rentals,
Mm-hmm.
and like the pricing that they have on their website is kind of strange, and so Google will constantly get mad at them about like
Yeah.
having pricing. Like they like to do it a certain way for CRO, but then Google gets mad at it because it's like rental products. So yeah, there's a lot of specifics to the product feed. You
Uh-huh.
got to be kind of careful with it, and you will get products disapproved and all of that
Yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah, there's another client that's in the medical niche, and that's always very tough too, where you're selling supplements, and then you have all kinds of product disapprovals, even if they don't actually make sense. Um, Google will disapprove it, and it's kind of hard to get them to
Uh-huh.
decide otherwise. But like general Google Merchant Center and product feed optimization, very important. As a retailer, you definitely want your products on there. You want to minimize how many disapprovals you have. So if you go into the account and you have 50% disapproved products, you definitely want to clean that up. Just make it as nice of a feed as you can. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's so many specific cases depending on your
Yeah.
industry and how to do that. And in
Yeah.
terms of optimizing the product feed, we find that really the most important thing is just the name of the product. So the title of the
Mm-hmm.
product, and then having the keyword in the title, the description, making sure that the categories are correctly aligned, and that the overall health of the feed, as much information as you can provide in that feed is always going to be helpful.
Mm-hmm. And talking about the recent AI overviews, which I think have been live for 2 weeks or so, have you seen any impact of that on your e-commerce clients? Any observations?
Not too much. If the only instances where we've seen it really affect is on very informational based terms. And usually our bread and butter for the agency is something we call collection expansion and like really focusing on the product optimization and collection pages. And so that's really where we get the biggest wins for revenue and for getting people on the site. The informational terms can take a hit though. So we've
Yeah.
only had really one client where we've seen that, but they had more of that sort of uh, factual sort of blog post where it's pretty easy for AI to answer it. And so we did see
Mm-hmm.
blog posts go further down on those terms.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
But yeah, I'm super excited just to see the whole AI, overviews, and I'm just interested in how they'll play out. I recorded a video on that this morning, so I'm
Oh,
very interested in like just trying to kind of checking out how that all plays out.
yeah,
But
because like,
we haven't seen it hurt ecom too much because it's almost
uh-huh.
all informational at this point.
Okay, so another question about the SERPs, what they look like for e-commerce. So usually they are very different. You have like a ton of ads, a ton of products from merchant feed, product feed, a ton of filters, prices, sizes. So it becomes very messy, very huge. And even if you rank number 1, 2, 3, usually you do not get like 40% of clicks if you just ranked for number one in like normal, kind of more normal search results. So how do you approach this? How do you get the click?
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, really, we just want to be everywhere. So, we
Uh-huh.
do Google Ads as well. And so we really just focus on making sure the Google Ads is good, making sure that the product feed is optimized so that we're showing up in the product grid, the Google Ads, if depending on budget, right?
Yeah.
In sort of the top three organic results. As well as with all those filters, the way they filter down is which is such an interesting point to bring up too, is those filters have gotten like they're on all pretty much all like search results now.
Yeah.
And the most important thing there is, when you click on those filters, they update the query.
Yeah.
Uh, and so you can still rank like when they update it, it's a different query now. And so you can have a different collection page or a different product page ranking there. So you can still sort of use that to your advantage to find different attributes, entities, to sort of expand out what your product catalog is, and still rank there.
Totally. So what tools do you use for e-commerce? What SEO tools are like your top tools for e-commerce SEO? Any difference to normal SEO tools?
So I don't use anything that's like crazy really, because like we're very much into the idea that it's an SEO's brain is the most important thing.
Yeah.
So I know you're a fan of Screaming Frog. We love Screaming Frog.
Yeah.
So Olga did a great presentation at Mad's event, SEO Mastery Summit, and she shared some stuff I had no clue about in Screaming Frog. So really,
Thanks.
really cool stuff. And so Screaming Frog, we absolutely love it. I posted about it tons of times on my YouTube and everything. So Screaming Frog's a big one. When you're dealing with these large websites, it really is a savior, lets you crawl everything. There's alternatives like Sitebulb and others that do similar things, and some people prefer them. But yeah, I'm a big Screaming Frog fan. And then I use SEMrush and Ahrefs, pretty basic. I have a Majestic account that I like to check out just in certain situations. And then e-commerce specific would be mostly related to the platforms. So
Mm-hmm.
I would say some of the most interesting e-com tools are for Shopify is Matrixify. Um,
Uh-huh.
and that lets you just essentially do optimizations at scale. So that would just be like you can export all collection pages or all product pages, and you can optimize any piece of the data. So you can update alt text, you can update product descriptions, you can pretty much do anything. And so that's very nice. Another tool
Uh-huh.
for Shopify SEO is JSON LD for SEO. That's a Shopify app by Alana, I think is her name. But she's a great, SEO in her own right, and that's a really cool Shopify app that lets you do schema on Shopify. So I think in terms of my favorite SEO tools, it usually depends on the CMS because you do have so much restriction on a lot of these platforms. Like JSON LD is the only way that I can easily get custom schema on pages and that I can get good overarching schema on Shopify without like the other ways would be like Google Tag Manager and a
Yeah.
lot of, kind of annoying things to do. So that's been a lifesaver on Shopify.
Yeah, so my next question was supposed to be about Shopify SEO. Exactly, like what are your best practices, the challenges you have with Shopify websites? I haven't worked with many Shopify websites, but I find them a little bit problematic. So if you can even maybe share more about like Shopify SEO, the challenges and your experiences.
Yeah, so a lot of people don't like Shopify for SEO because, like, if you're there's certain limitations that are annoying. We've been able to get past most of them, and I have actually grown to love Shopify. It's a very intuitive
Oh.
back end, and a lot of clients use it. It's very good for a lot of things in e-commerce, outside of SEO. And most SEO we can kind of work around with it. There's a few
Mhm.
things that you can't. So you
What
can't
are these?
what?
What are these?
Oh, so the biggest thing is that you can't get around the URL structure. So
Yeah.
bill for slash collections slash whatever, and slash product slash whatever. But a lot of stuff we can get around with, like I have a development team, so a lot of the developers can get around a lot of stuff. And then some apps help. So like the JSON LD helps with the schema.
Mhm.
Um, and so there's a lot of ways you can get around stuff. Um, I find Shopify SEO to actually be pretty intuitive once you, I think pretty intuitive on the on page level. The URL structure is very annoying.
Yeah.
But other than that, and the schema is really annoying. Those are the two factors that can get, uh, just kind of, you got to do workarounds to make them work.
What about speed? Sorry, what
Oh
about
yeah,
speed optimization? Because I once had to do that for Shopify and I wasn't really very successful.
yeah, speed optimization is tough on Shopify too. So my development team's really good, and they can usually get the speed to a pretty good place.
Uh-huh.
Um, but on that, it really depends on the theme, because the
Yeah.
code is completely dependent on the theme. So some themes are just horrible, and that's where like we might even recommend the client to get a new theme. If not, my development team can usually just kind of patch all the holes and fix things up. Uh, but that's where it gets the hardest to sort of deal with. Is like a bad,
Mhm.
if it's a badly coded theme, like you're pretty much recreating the website. Like you're recreating the theme for them. Shopify speed optimization is tough. You usually can get it up to an acceptable area where we feel good with it. But yeah, that's definitely a problem too.
Yeah. So another question regarding JavaScript SEO and e-commerce, like have you had any like problems with that? Do you always recommend like having products displayed and links visible in the source code or not only in the rendered version? Like what are your experiences in that area?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I haven't had to deal with too many problems regarding that. I find that Google will still crawl the product pages. Say like if I have clients, or I have a client where the product listings are generated via JavaScript. Um, we're scoping out whether we could change that. But Google does, they still rank well, right? So Google does
Uh-huh.
crawl the product internal links, and they do, they can parse that data. But yeah, I haven't tested it too much. For that client, we're considering a test where we recreate the product categories to list the products without JavaScript. Um, but I'm not really sure the results of that. I know that JavaScript is best, to not have. So if you can have it in the original source code, it's much better. But yeah, you're doing a lot of development sort of, hoops. You got to jump through a lot of hoops in ecom, depending on what they're platform is, this client is a big commerce and they're using Search Spring to load the product categories. So, and they're signed into a contract with Search Spring that they won't allow them to
Uh-huh.
it.
Okay.
So there's all kinds of sort of like like hoops you got to jump through. But what's your experience on JavaScript SEO?
So I have always been recommending like having the important stuff, having links, descriptions, products in the source and rendered. It is of course not always possible. I have one big e-commerce client and he listens to what I'm saying and they actually implemented that. They didn't like they were doing okay. They implemented that because before that the products nothing was visible without JavaScript. Now everything is visible, and they have been experiencing a nice growth ever since. But I cannot really say if this is because of that or because a ton of other things have been done as well. So I cannot. This is just anecdotal, but I think if it is doable for the team and it doesn't take months or like the entire site doesn't have to be rebuilt, it may be worth doing because we can hear now some people say that maybe this SGE or AI overviews, the stuff that is shown there is taken from the source, not from the rendered HTML. Maybe it will change, who knows? But I am a proponent of having everything in the source, if possible.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think we will do that experiment for that client, and then I can get a better idea of what kind of results we see.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
yeah, that will be fun. Shopify is
yeah.
usually not too bad with that. Most Shopify
Uh-huh.
themes will not have JavaScript rendering it for the product listings. Um, but then, yeah, BigCommerce, and if you're using, there's a lot of these sort of external apps that will do the filtering in
Yeah,
the category pages. That's where you get a lot of JavaScript, and there's a lot of it's a messy area, right? Like for this client, we're probably going to have to recreate that whole page type and then sort of A/B test it without Search Spring.
totally. So, can you share some experiences with indexation problems in e-commerce SEO? What were the causes in that case? What were the remedies?
Yeah, so indexing is very important for these large sites. What we found is here's a specific case study. We're working with this supplement brand, 50,000 products, and they had, very messy technical SEO. So
Uh-huh.
they had where every button on the website was actually internal links and not button tags. So
Uh-huh.
all the add to carts were actually internal links that would, whenever you click it, it would crawl a cart page with different products.
Oh,
Yeah. So you essentially have situations in e-commerce where like the bot, like if you step into the bot's shoes, Google bot,
yeah.
and you walk through it, it's like essentially what they're doing is that they're just like clicking on stuff constantly. So like they click onto the product, they click the add to cart, they go to the cart URL, then they
Yeah, just playing with the card.
they just like go through the cart for like 20 minutes, whatever it is. And so like when you crawled that website on Screaming Frog, originally it would be like so large you couldn't even do anything with it.
Uh-huh.
It'd be like 200,000 HTML pages, um, and they really only had 50,000 products. So there was no reason for it to have so much just unnecessary bloat there. So we essentially just did a tech audit, fixed up all of that, all of those types of errors, um, and that helped the indexation quite a bit. And so in Google Search Console, you can go to the pages index, and you can look at essentially what you normally want to look at is crawled but not indexed and discovered but not indexed.
Yeah.
Uh, those are going to be the two places you want to look. Check out what kind of pages are not getting indexed. In this case, it was a lot of product pages, and so that's a big problem. You need all your product and category and bottom of funnel pages indexed, or you're just missing out on a ton. And so what we did is that by doing all the technical audit and then taking those pages, um, we use this tool, gsctool.com.
Uh-huh.
And it's, there's tons that I'm sure do this, but it allows for bulk indexation requests and bulk removal requests. So then we bulk ask Google to index all the product pages that were being indexed. And from there, we got it from, I think, if I remember correctly, it was 1,650 or so new product pages that were indexed that weren't
Uh-huh.
so, all of those, especially in supplements where most of the ranking pages are products, because like if you need ibuprofen or something, you just want ibuprofen. You're not looking at like headache medicine.
Yeah, exactly.
So like the product pages are the money pages. Those are the bread and butter. So mostly just by fixing up the technical issues and then submitting for re-indexation, we got those 1,600 new products indexed. And that's the type of situations we see. Looking at the page indexing report in Google Search Console, checking out what pages aren't being indexed, and then making sure that we clean that up the website. See kind of why Google is deciding to not crawl the website better. Definitely can take a lot of time sometimes. So depending on the history with Google, your website, they may just not even care about it anymore. They may
Yeah.
not be indexing pages because they're like, oh, well, you've been doing, whatever you've been doing for a long time. And so it's definitely case by case and kind of you gotta
Yeah.
it depends, as they always say. But
Yeah, it does. I recently had a similar case where I had it was also an e-commerce, a big e-commerce, and they had I think 10K, maybe 30K products, so not that many. But in Google Search Console, in crawled currently not indexed and discovered currently not indexed, there were like I think 10 million URLs. I tried to, and it wasn't like hacking. I tried to crawl the site with Screaming Frog. It also showed me a couple of million pages. And it was very simple, just filtering in the URL, no canonicals, tons of duplication, and Google simply ran out of crawl budgets for that site. But it was a quick fix for that site, and it helped it tremendously. And talking about CMS for e-commerce, which one is your favorite? Is it Shopify or WooCommerce, Magento, or whatever else is there?
yeah, so there's two answers, which is Shopify and WooCommerce. So
Uh-huh.
if I want to be very SEO focused, WooCommerce is nice. And if I want all the control, then that's very nice. But I have Shopify stores of my own, and
Uh-huh.
I do really enjoy how simple it is, and I've gotten really used to the platform. And so I'm very comfortable in Shopify. But yeah, I mean, fundamentally on a technical level, there are better options. Like WooCommerce can do a lot more.
Uh-huh. And do you do log file analysis for e-commerce? I'm not sure if that changed, but at least some time ago, I think you couldn't do that for Shopify. How is
Mhm.
it now?
Yeah, so that's the other limitation. You can't do log file
Uh-huh.
analysis. I'm not actually too deep into log file analysis. I've taken a look and I kind of have a basic understanding, but that's probably an area where I could improve. Perhaps
Mm-hmm.
because of the Shopify focus, where we don't really have the control to do that.
Yeah.
And so I haven't done that too much. The main area where I've really wanted to is there was an instance where Bing was just completely dropped off traffic. And we don't
Uh-huh.
think about Bing that often, but with
Yeah.
the new developments, Bing is becoming more and more important. And Bing just like totally dropped off traffic, like from like
Uh-huh.
250 clicks per day to 60 clicks per day. And they didn't de-index anything. They just like
Mm-hmm.
totally reevaluated the website. And that was an instance where I really needed to see, what was the Bing bot doing on the website? Was it
Uh-huh.
404 errors? Like obviously on our end, it didn't look like that. So we sort of had to investigate. and then we had to get in contact with Bing and do all kinds of um,
Uh-huh.
fun.
And what was it? And what was it? What was the cause?
It was mainly Bing bot, getting different sort of like weird error codes when they were coming to the website,
Uh-huh.
and they were able to solve it. I'm not really sure exactly why. So that was kind of a weird case. But yeah, we were able to bring it to them, and they could fix it on their end.
Yeah, one thing with Bing is that you can actually like write to them and they will reply. There is like a possibility to have contact with a human. While I think with Google, I don't think it is possible other than like tagging them on Twitter or something or using Google Help forums, right?
Exactly.
uh,
Yeah. Google is very hard to get in contact with, and then of course they'll never stop bugging you from Google Ads too, with just some random random person that's like, "Hey,
yeah,
you have
yeah,
all these
yeah, yeah, yeah.
opportunities," and you're like, "No, you won't respond to my SEO issues, but you'll try to
Yeah,
upsell me on
exactly.
Google Ads."
Exactly. Okay. So, what about planning the website structure for e-commerce SEO? Like, how do you do that? What's your approach here?
Yeah, so that's a really important piece of the puzzle. It's an area I find a lot of people don't do correctly, which is, and even we're still learning the best ways, right? But topical mapping for e-commerce is really important, and making sure that you have all the correct categories and that they're organized and internally linked in sort of a rational way, um, is a big piece of the puzzle. Uh, and so, like a lot of times, what we do is that somebody already has a sort of basic structure in place for customers. The customer journey going through the website. There are cases where they don't at all, and that's frustrating. That's a lot of work. Um, but usually they have some sort of structure already in place that we can work with. And then it mainly comes out to you can make topical mapping really in depth and you can go really deep with it. And my lead strategist, watched Corey's course and is a little
Uh-huh.
bit deeper into it than I am. But the basic way for a podcast is essentially just keyword research, right? Figuring out
Mm-hmm.
all the category pages that competitors have that you don't. Looking through GSC keywords, Google Ads keywords, and really looking at, okay, we need all of this list of new category pages created. That might be 100 pages.
Yeah.
That might be 1,000, right? Like it can really sort of vary. And then getting all of those different category pages. Maybe it's stylish clothes and then cute clothes and then retro, and then you're like, oh well, there could be there's obviously a section that needs to be created for style or for theme, something like that.
Yeah.
And then you can add that into the navigation where, if it's clothes, you can have by style, and then that could be
Yeah.
cute, funny, retro, etc., vintage. Then you could have sort of by age. So when you're doing this keyword research, you find these patterns, and that's the main thing, is making sure that uh, there's also all kinds of ways you can go with it. So there might be by style, by theme, by color, by age, and you can kind of go from there. Uh, Depends on the niche, but that's the basic sort of path we take. You can
Mm-hmm.
always go deeper into it. You can approach it from different ways. You could try to take out and extract the entities and attributes for the
Yeah.
niche, and you can try to organize it that way, and then connect that to keywords. And to be honest, we've done it several different ways, and
Mm-hmm.
what I find is that as long as you have keywords that people search, and that you're organizing it in a logical way, by these sort of um, I mean, whatever you want to call them, buckets, categories,
Yeah.
silos, whatever you want to call them, um, then you're usually pretty well off.
I have the same experiences. So if you were to name 3 top mistakes you see in e-commerce websites regarding SEO, what would they be?
So first one is header structure on the website. You'll see so often just product pages with incorrect header structure, or heading structure is probably the
Or
correct term.
no headings at all as well?
Yes, yes, exactly. And it's like that takes my developers like sometimes 30 minutes to implement. And then it's
Uh-huh.
like 60,000 products have now headings.
Yeah,
And the on page is so much
exactly.
better. So that's by far the number one issue we see. I would say the second issue would be not taking Google Merchant Center seriously, and not caring about it. While in 2024, e-commerce results so often show so many product listings from the product
Yeah.
feed. So it's like it's so important, and people will just I'll ask them about merchant feed, and they'll be like, "Wait, what is that?" Or they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I think like our ads people do something with that."
Yeah.
And then it's always unoptimized. It always has a lot of disapprovals and all kinds of things like that. And so that would be the second issue. The third issue would just be, and maybe this would go higher in the list, but just not thinking about SEO.
Uh-huh.
I remember Ted Kabitis, if you know. Oh yeah, you do because you're a fan of Quora.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like Ted
yeah.
Kabitis always says like name of things SEO, where it's just like an e-commerce site would be his example
Is
is
delights and
yes,
something? Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's like something in delights.
Yeah.
And it's like just change that to gifts, and now you have a optimized page. So like maybe it's
Yeah.
like writing delights, and it's like change that gifts for writers, and then
I
now
think he
you
has gifts and delights or
have
anyway, yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah.
he goes into a lot of great content. If you don't know SEO Fight Club, you probably do if you're watching this, but
I
they have some great stuff. So Ted also goes into joint categories. So we mentioned those ands. So it might be like you'll see people with this is an absurd example, but like shorts and pants. It's like you need
yeah.
a shorts page and you need a pants page. You can't combine them unless a very specific search result that you're trying to rank for.
Yeah,
Um,
and Ted also talks a lot about supplemental content for e-commerce that you can now easily create it with ChatGPT, Claude, whatever. So it isn't that such a long process as it used to be in the past. So that's, I think, a good piece of advice from him as well. And
Definitely. We always add to the categories. We always add some kind of content section at the bottom, and that might be a simple one would be like an FAQ. So those would be accordions
yeah,
with frequently asked questions. But you can pretty much do it anyway, right? So like you can also try to hide the content and make it like just like an arrow or like a learn more button, and like
yeah,
it expands out into this huge sort of on page SEO fest. But yeah, Ted does it so well. Like, something else I learned from him is adding the different attributes and adjectives to a collection. So, if you have
mm-hmm.
like, I think his example he's given is like Xbox. So
Uh-huh.
if it's like an Xbox controller or something, you could do in the supplementary content or the FAQs or any content below the products on the collection page. You could just create a big list of sort of Xbox controllers for kids, Xbox
Yeah.
controllers for adults, Xbox controllers for Minecraft players, right? Like you can go so deep, and then you cast a wider net on that category page to rank for all kinds of long tail keywords.
Yeah, totally, totally. And you can also like add LSIs, the ones that kind of statistically correlate from Quora report and entities. And it usually does miracles from my experience as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so on the SEO tools section too is like they're not really e-commerce specific, but Screaming Frog, SEO Rush or Ahrefs, and Quora are probably my favorite. An alternative to Quora that I have been using, which is good, is onpage.ai.
Uh-huh.
That'll give you some nice entities and LSIs too. But like the core thought on here is just a lot of category and product pages are missing essential uh, terms that add a lot of this relevance that Google is looking for. Looking
Yeah.
for how do you determine a relevant document? And figuring that out is pretty much just adding these LSIs and entity terms from a core report or from any of these sort of on-page tools, and adding that into your categories is always it's always worked for us.
Yeah.
So it's a very good move in my experience.
Yeah, totally. And in my experience, the top three mistakes would be internal linking, that, for example, like the product is linked through the entire box in div. There is no text link or image link with all text. So internal linking, lack of content on category pages and on product pages as well, and headings as well. Headings.
Yeah, I think that's an even better list. Yeah, because that's typically what we do. Right at the start is fix all the heading structures for homepage, category, and product pages, and then add content to the bottom of category pages. Which,
Yeah.
like, from a if you're not an SEO, it's totally understandable why you would not do that. But almost no clients have that when they come to us.
Yeah.
Sometimes they do, but very rarely. Usually it's just a list of products with product names and an H1 and maybe like a sentence or two of text at the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's definitely a big win. I would agree with your list wholeheartedly.
Yeah, I think Ted calls it goose egg SEO, which is when you like improve. There is like 1,000, let's say 1,000 products which do not have any traffic. You improve headings, and all of them now get 2 clicks per day, and you have a big win. So
Exactly. And I think
yeah,
that's something for like newcomers when they're trying to get into e-com SEO, they haven't done it before, or if you're doing it for your own brand, it can be so intimidating because you do have such a large website. If you're not
yeah,
doing D2C or anything, it's like, where do I even begin with this? And so like I feel like people get anxiety, they get overwhelmed. And so the names of things in goose egg SEO are great concepts by Ted, because really you just have to start somewhere, and that might be as simple as just starting with a single page and being like, well, what keyword could this rank for that it's not? Even if we get one more click a month, to do that to 1,000 pages, that's 1,000 new potential customers per month. Uh,
yeah.
so it's really important. And on these sort of transactional intents, you can get quite good, relevant converting traffic on product pages and categories. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's definitely a powerful way to go about e-com SEO.
So, any final thoughts, insights for people wanting to do or doing enterprise, not enterprise, e-commerce SEO? E-commerce SEO is often enterprise as well. So, any final tips?
Let's see. Final tips. I think we went through all of the best sort of
Yeah.
initial tips. I think your three mistakes are actually really good in terms of a base task list. Like
Uh huh.
go through all of the category pages. Well, first make sure all the headings are on the website correctly. You can use something like SEO Meta in one click, or there's the
Yeah.
detailed Chrome extension. There's tons of these Chrome extensions. Just pop it on and see, for a product page, what is the heading structure? For a category, what is it? And for the homepage. You'll often find for homepage, you'll have no H1 and you can quickly rank that for something. And for product pages and categories, you'll often find a similar thing. And so just making sure that those are structured correctly. And then after that, check all your category pages, see what they're ranking for. You can look for pages that are sort of on page 2 of Google, or maybe like low page 1, and you can add in that entity optimized content to the category pages. You will need a developer for a lot of this stuff, so you will need that sort of have access to that, and have them add a little FAQ section. Like that's the basic
Yeah.
one. FAQ section, just like what are these things? What do they do? And you can even look on Google and just look at what the people also asked are
Yeah.
saying, right? So search your primary keywords, see what people are asking about that, add that in an FAQ, and now you have some content on the page. You'll probably even naturally get in some entities and LSIs, but up your game with a tool like Quora, and it will give you an exact list of keywords to use in your page. once you kind of go through those opportunities, then just start going one by one and see what easy keywords you can get onto those pages, just in the H1 and the title tag. Um,
Yeah.
Final sort of advice if you're working with clients specifically, is you will get a lot of pushback from e-com clients because
Yeah.
it's their brand. You have to understand, right, as an SEO, that these companies are making most of their money from ads and from word of mouth and all kinds of things. And so SEO is a portion of the pie, but like making sure that CRO is correct is really
Yeah.
important. And also,
Totally.
you also just have people that are a little particular about their brand, and so you'll find that like people will push back on adding content to the category pages. They'll push back on changing a name from delights to gifts. Like they're like, oh well, but delights fits my brand better, right? So you will have sort of this pushback, and Ted has said before, have a heart to heart with them, and
Yeah.
just let them know that this is how you rank on Google, and you can usually get some stuff approved. You just might have to edit it and be a little bit careful with all
Totally. Yeah. So it was like so many tips, so much advice. So, Patrick, where can people find you? What's the best place to follow you, learn from you more?
that. So YouTube is by far the best place to follow
Hmm.
me. So we're releasing a new video today or tomorrow on the AI overviews. So
I will
uh,
add a link somewhere. It will
somewhere
be
the link will
somewhere
be
here. Yeah.
the link is somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm mostly just focusing on YouTube these days,
Uh
and
huh.
so you can find all my content there. I'm also on LinkedIn and Facebook and all the other places you can chat with me.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect. So, Patrick, thanks a lot for being my guest, sharing your knowledge. It was a very fun episode.
Thank you, Olga, and thank you for sharing your knowledge at SEO Mastery. And I love the content you've been pushing out. So
Yeah.
I
Thanks.
appreciate you
Thanks a
having me.
lot. Thank you. Thank you. So, thanks everyone, and bye bye.
Bye bye.